play the game. It's all about the game and how you play it. All about control, and if you can take it, all about your debt. And if you
buy this car to drive to work to pay for this car. Buy this car to drive to work.
Welcome to YellBRo. I am Jordan, and tonight, we're going to be talking about authenticity and inauthenticity again, because I think this is going to be a great example of showing, kind of like degrees of things. Very interesting. But first, do not forget to share, support, or hopefully donate to Devon's Journey to Recovery, to Helping Victims of Africom, to Cohen Daly, the Australian boy. Also, how about some content creators, Stevie, a.k.a. Redneck Economics, Sleepy J, Buy My Coffee, and optionally, Ali Alexandra. All links in the description box. That's right. So this video's pretty old, and hopefully I don't pull the video down, because I don't know who owns what rights with Rogan shit, and I'm hoping this video doesn't get pulled because I'm using a part of his podcast for this video. But you're going to see a definite distinction. It's definitely, in my opinion, I would call them levels of inauthenticity, but you're kind of going to see an example of it. It's going to be spread out, probably, hopefully, 2 or 3 videos, parts 1, 2, 3, hopefully. And I'm going to basically explain these different levels of that phenomenon. Right? But this is not an exact science. There's always nuance. I'm saying my opinion from my distance, but I feel like I'm pretty correct on that, based on what we've seen from these two characters. And I think it's worth pointing out. It's also, very pop culture-y, drama-based, gossipy. It's fun. So here we go. Part 1 is going to be Joe Rogan speaking to Steven Crowder about some stuff that maybe Ronald Reagan has done. Actually, at the beginning of this, they're going to be talking about immigrants coming to the country and not knowing how to shit on toilets. Kind of funny, so I'll just leave that in. Forgive me for it. All right, here we go. Authenticity, inauthenticity. Keep that in mind. Here we go.
He told me that when people from Asia who are used to that environment as the norm come over to the United States, sometimes they actually stand on the toilet seat and shit that way.
But the toilet seat is not designed for the aim to be accurate. If you're sitting on the toilet seat, you'd be crapping on the water tank.
They don't know any better, bro. They're from another country.
Thought that's worth having in here. All right, here we go.
Without Trump leading them, they don't even know anything, man.
This is always what happens. You're tossing defending Trump. I think,
And that should be a tell right there. My belief is that Rogan recognizes that this dude is a culture warrior, grifting asshole. I think Rogan recognizes that. And Crowder also knows I need to keep up a certain PR thing and protect a certain team. Right? Crowder's a team player. Rogan's not really a team player, to be honest with you. Not in this political sense. And Rogan notices this. But Rogan will have his faults or inauthenticity as well, at least in my opinion. And we're going to go over that. Here we go. So let's continue on watching Crowder squirm and be uncomfortable.
Do you think he's a good leader? Are you happy that he's in office? Is it good because it's a shakeup?
Look at his body language and the way he's saying this. He's like,
I think that again
so
the left has
fake.
behaved so poorly.
Again with this left.
Yeah. I think that Donald Trump has been a lightning rod.
He knows he's fake as fuck. Right? Now I am going to be questioning Rogan's authenticity as well. on something else. But Rogan recognized, like, this guy is full of shit.
Do you think he's a good leader? Are you happy that he's in office?
My
Are you?
God,
Is it
left
good
and
because
right
it's a
again.
shakeup?
I will say this. I think that, again, the left has behaved so poorly.
Again with this left.
Yeah. I
right.
think that Donald Trump has been a lightning rod. I would disagree with him on some policy issues for sure. But I think that because everyone has called him a Nazi and a racist and a sexist and a transphobe, that it's removed those arguments from the table for at least several decades. Because people are going, yeah, but you said it about John McCain and Mitt Romney. Everyone you disagree with is a racist. I think that card's been played too much, and because of Donald Trump, it's been overplayed. And I think now we see with our channel, granted, it's not as big as the outreach you guys have, but it's grown pretty substantially, and a lot of our audience are self-professed liberals going, you know what? I used to hate you. I used to watch the Young Turks, and I used to watch them crap on you, but actually some of these points make sense, and I used to think everyone...
Trickle down. That became a culture thing, as far as, like, I walked away from the left. Shit like that. Using TYT as the actual opposing argument to you. Imagine that. I'm a good guy. How do we know? This Hitler guy was talking shit about me. Watch him. He's my counter. Like, wait a minute. Someone could have, like, a real nuanced argument against you, but you go for the lowest scaled, shittiest fucking arguments, and then prop them up by only responding to them. Where they're the only counter narrative. It makes you look like you have credibility. Trickle me down. This shit's easy, guys. It's easy.
Everyone would disagree with me was racist, and I think because it's so overplayed, it's left such a bad taste in people's mouth. I do think that Donald Trump has served a real purpose.
How come you're not playing a character?
And that may be the most important point of all at this point in our culture with political correctness.
Yeah, I think when things go too far one way, people get upset with that. And when people get too biased, whether it's towards the left or towards the right, it tends to balance things out in the other direction. Like Robert Anton Wilson called Lyndon Johnson the pacifist president. Yeah. You know why he called him the pacifist president? Because he was such a cunt that he created so many pacifists because of his atrocities that he ordered in the Vietnam War. People were so upset that more people became pacifists during the during the Lyndon Johnson administration than ever before.
Yeah.
By the same token, he called Reagan the intellectual president because more people just went, oh my God, you gotta God damn it, it's important to know things.
Yeah.
God damn it, it's important to be smart. Like, just say no, bitch. What are you talking about? Just say no. You're bringing heroin in from Vietnam. Just say no. You're selling coke in South Central to pay for the fucking conscious.
Wait, this is Reagan was selling coke?
Sandinistas. Oliver, you don't know the Oliver North story?
Oh, Oliver North.
Oh, yeah.
The real Rick Ross. You know the whole story?
I don't know the whole story with the real Rick Ross.
Dude, the real Rick Ross, not the rapper, but the real Rick Ross, who's been on my podcast twice, was a drug dealer in South Central who they put away for life due to the 3 strikes rule, but didn't know how to read. Okay, went to jail, was a drug dealer, made millions of dollars selling coke, okay? Did not have any idea who was bringing him the coke, how he was getting it, where it was coming from. The profits that they were making was literally paying Oliver North to arm the Conscious versus the Sandinistas. I mean, it was all proven in court. I mean,
they were paying Oliver North. That's what fucking Crowder said. Now, there's nothing crazy about someone being incorrect about something or not knowing a news story. That happens all the time. There's plenty of shit I don't fucking know about. But, like, once this new information is introduced to you, what do you do with it? That seems like a major fucking story. And if Crowder didn't really know about it, this is a major story about someone you were claiming possibly claimed was credible in some degree. He's on the right. But let's continue.
I mean, this is what Michael Rupert stood in front of. What was the? I forget what the gathering was, but on television, on C-SPAN, Michael Rupert, who was a narcotics officer for the Los Angeles Police Department, who was also been on my podcast before he committed suicide. He was the guy that was the focus of that movie Collapse. Remember that movie Collapse where he's talking about...
I'm trying to remember who was in that.
It was just him smoking cigarettes, sitting...
I remember who was in that. Rogan sees this. He sees that. You could tell. I don't know. This is all my opinion. It seems like Rogan notices that. Or even the little things like that. Like, he's basically... Rogan is constantly at, are you full of shit? Are you full of shit? Are you full of shit? You're full of shit, aren't you? I'm going to keep going with this because you're full of shit. Yeah, you ever see the movie Collapse? I don't remember, casting for that. No, it was just this guy talking. Rogan sees this.
Was a narcotics officer for the Los Angeles Police Department, who's also been on my podcast before he committed suicide. He was the guy that was the focus of that movie Collapse. Remember that movie Collapse where he's talking about...
I'm trying to remember who was in that.
It was just him smoking cigarettes, sitting there talking about what he knew about the economy, what he knew about all these different things that were problematic in our society, and how there's only a certain amount of time before it's going to collapse. It was kind of a crazy doom and gloom documentary. But the point is, he had caught CIA agents, rogue cowboy CIA agents in the middle of selling drugs in South Central Los Angeles, reported it and was in trouble because of that and decided to go public with it. And they were selling these drugs, they were making shitloads of money, and they were transferring the money to arm these rebels. Well, Rick Ross was in the middle of that and didn't know he was in the middle of that. He was literally selling drugs and funneling this whole thing. Went to jail as an illiterate person who literally couldn't read. Learned how to read in jail. Became a lawyer in jail.
That's all fucking
law.
crazy.
Okay,
yeah,
I think
figured out that you can't charge him for the 3 strikes rule if it's one thing. If you're charging him with a bunch of counts under one incident, it's the 3 strikes law doesn't apply, and that's how they got him in jail. So now he's out. All of this came because of that.
Well, I knew about Oliver North in the Contra thing. I didn't know about Rick Ross specifically.
Well, there's been proof.
But you knew about that. Okay.
That some elements of our government have sold drugs to impoverished neighborhoods in order to fund black ops. This is a fact. And this is one of the things that Robert...
Can you hear Rogan trying to explain, no, this happened. And he hears a response, yeah, sure. He's just no, it's really happened. You should be or what? They did what?
In the Contra thing, I didn't know about Rick Ross specifically.
Well, there's been proof that some elements of our government have sold drugs to impoverished neighborhoods in order to fund black ops. This is a fact. And this is one of the things that Robert Anton Wilson was talking about when he was talking about the Reagan administration. It was it became one of the things in order to fund black ops. This is a fact. And this is one of the things that Robert Anton Wilson was talking about when he was talking about the Reagan administration. It was it became the intellectual president.
Inaudible or something.
Because people were so frustrated by how fucking crazy and chaotic and movie-like things had become that they had decided to arm themselves with information.
I wonder if a big part of it, too, is the backlash with Ronald Reagan, because everyone said, again, he had no chance, he was a moron, and he won in a landslide, where people go, all right, screw you, we're going to consider him an intellectual. Like with Donald Trump. Listen, I don't think Donald Trump's an intellectual.
Well, no.
Tell me that's not mind-blowing. I know there's plenty of people that are going to be oh, it's typical, this happened. Soak it in. Do not become this fucking guy. Yeah, I heard about you. That should be fucking infuriating, bro. Imagine that. Unfucking real.
No one was considering him an intellectual.
The taking of that story, he just went on a full spiel about all the CIA and selling drugs to funding fucking army, funding the Contras, right? Selling drugs to your own people, help some foreign army because whatever reason, you don't like communism or something. Whatever the fuck their reason was, even though I don't think that's the case. I think it's a lot darker than that. But goes against our interests. Something like that. But imagine spilling that all out in front of us, and all you get is, yeah, sure. But anyways, these leftists called him stupid. And, you know, the left. That should be registering in Rogan's mind of either, like, this is a brainwashed, like, child with no thinking for themselves. Right? Or this is one of the most grifty McGrifter motherfuckers of all time. Like, super duper sus. Like, who do you work for? Where it's not even like, forget about money. Forget about that you're bullshitting for money. Like, who do you work for? That would be the question. Like, when that type of information is put out in front of you, and you're not either like, yeah, that's bullshit. No way I buy that. And then try to make like a counter argument. Or you're like, yeah, man, they fucking did that. Shit, that reminds me. I should do an episode on that. That's important to fucking know that these guys aren't all high and mighty. They could do shit to your average American. Not just wars that are hurting foreign people. They're hurting us with these things. Didn't get that either. So it's like, it's only, and the options are kind of getting narrowed down to like, what the fuck was that? Because I'm telling you now, Crowder did not. Oh fuck, I should report on this. Have like a show with like 1 million fucking people watching it. All of them are like, we love Reagan. They all fucking love Reagan. Maybe I should like inform them so they're not so gullible. Now, what does Crowder have to do? Play defense. Play defense. Turn the topic around. It's like football, running a trick play. Smoke and mirrors. Unfucking real. Rogan, this is just my belief, but fuck, do I really believe it? He's right through that shit, directly through it. Let's continue.
That too is the backlash with Ronald Reagan, because everyone said again he had no chance. He was a moron, and he won in a landslide. Where people go,
let me back up again, because let's go to the end of what Rogan was like black ops shit. They fucking did this. It's on paper. They really did this. Yeah, so Reagan being distrusted by the leftist and calling him stupid.
Movie.
It sounds like it was cut. That's how unrealistic that statement is as a follow-up. It sounds like they actually went on with further with that topic, and then Rogan's like, okay, let me cut it, stop it there, and then, you know, leave up the part where we move on about Reagan's intellectualism or whatever the fuck. It reads like it was cut, like something's missing. That's how much of a pivot that is. Unfucking real.
Because people were so frustrated by how fucking crazy and chaotic and movie-like things had become that they had decided to arm themselves with information.
I wonder if a big part of it, though, too, is the backlash with Ronald Reagan, because everyone said, again, he had no chance. He was a moron, and he won in a landslide. Where people go, all right, screw you. We're going to consider him an intellectual. And
to impoverished neighborhoods in order to fund black ops. This is a fact. And this is one of the things that Robert Anton Wilson was talking about when he was talking about the Reagan administration. It was like he became the intellectual president because people were so frustrated by how fucking crazy and chaotic and movie-like things had become that they had decided to arm themselves with information.
I wonder if a big part of it, though, too, is the backlash with Ronald Reagan, because everyone said, again, he had no chance. He was a moron, and he won in a landslide. Where people go, all right, screw you. We're going to consider him an intellectual. Like with Donald Trump. Listen, I don't think Donald Trump's an intellectual.
Well, no one was considering him an intellectual. They were considering him a great American.
Right.
And he had slick back hair, and his wife stood still, and everybody was happy.
Well, in between seances at the White House.
Calling her astrologer, making sure she's shit
exactly.
now or in an
weird
hour.
Stuff. But I think people might have just been like, you know what, you called him a moron for so long, and everyone who voted him a moron, that then...
Well, they didn't really call Reagan a moron.
Yeah, they did.
Well, not like they called George Bush a moron.
Yeah, they did. Yes, they did.
I remember.
Why is that so important? Leaped over the topic that was right there.
The playbook with anyone who's conservative or Republican is if they can make you a moron, they will. If not, you're evil. Right?
See,
Dick Cheney can't be a moron, so he's evil.
I think you're confusing the narrative a little bit because Reagan might have been simplistic, but he was a wonderful speaker. Like he gave
with
George Bush a moron.
Yeah, they did. Yes, they did.
I remember.
It's the playbook with anyone who's conservative or Republican is if they can make you a moron, they will. If not, you're evil. Right?
See,
Dick Cheney can't be a moron, so he's evil.
I think.
I mean, well, Rogan has called this fucking evil. Well, he implied it, that Cheney was fucking evil. Yeah, he called him Darth Vader, or like, you know, literally shot some guy in the face. And the guy who got shot apologized. But, something has to be, come on. What, that's a weird state, like, if you call this like just some sort of innocent notion of like this is just what he believes in, and this is just what he does, it's like you are basically saying this guy is deep-seated brainwashing, like creepy levels of brainwashing, like tape your eyelids open brainwashing. That'd be you saying that, not me. Just saying. You're telling me this guy is not aware of what he's doing. He's just purposely pivot away from topics. That's a trend. Unfucking. And Rogan sees it as clear as day.
I think you're confusing the narrative a little bit because Reagan might have been simplistic, but he was a wonderful speaker. Like he gave really articulate, well thought out speeches that spoke to Americans, again, longing for this nostalgia of a time where the Norman Rockwell painting made sense.
Right.
And that's what Ronald Reagan represented to a lot of people.
Yeah.
A lot of people, they were coming out of the chaos of the Carter administration and the fucking Vietnam and
gas lines.
Gas lines and the Iranians taking the American hostages and all that crazy shit.
This is
and
Rogan
Ronald
being
Reagan
nice.
came along. He's like, I'm gonna fix it. I'm your dad. And everybody's like, we're in.
Yeah, but the media treated him like a real moron. If you go back and watch that, and right before his landslide election win, they made. If you look at the electoral map, sort of the polls and the predictions, they give him no chance of winning.
Mm-hmm.
And that's
we
what a lot
already
of people
proved you're
pointed.
full of shit about Colorado and traffic deaths.
And I'm going to leave that one for part 2. That face is perfect, Crowder. You're right there. Pause. So, lesson for this is if you're I get the hesitancy to sort of deem people as authentic or inauthentic or whatever the fuck, or even say anything like negative about people. Like, I get the being nice thing. I get it. But you could end up like Joe Rogan here. Now, we haven't quite gotten to him. But if this is not telltale, this guy is full of shit, either grifting, brainwashed, or some other worse thing, right? Worse than grifting type thing. That should be easily simple, like, conclusions to walk away from here, right? Because even if let's say he was conditioned or raised in this type of way, it's still like, well, you're hearing a counter argument now. That this guy's emphasizing, like, this actually happened. He's emphasizing it. And you're not making a counter argument. You're just going, yeah. Oh, yeah, I heard of that, yeah. Anyways, these guys called him stupid. They called Reagan stupid. That's the left's move. They call us either stupid or evil. Rogan could have ran with that, too. Bring up Dick Cheney as your example? Dick fucking Cheney? My God. But, yeah. Easy case of inauthenticity to some degree. It's just right there, right? By Crowder's, I'm very sure, by Crowder's own standards, he's being inauthentic. Either he truly believes these ideologies, but I'm hearing counter-information, so I need to protect those ideologies, which means I'm purposely not saying what I really mean to protect the ideologies. Or he's just straight up doesn't actually believe any of this shit, and he's just lying to this guy to keep it moving and save face and whatnot. That's the grifting, or that's the worse than grifting. For Rogan, we're going to see, I think that little snippet right there with the whole Reagan spiel, like, even though it could be somewhat correct, I'm sure there's like some sort of correctness there. At the same time, why he did it. That's where I think Rogan's inauthenticity comes. I think it's two different types of it with Crowder and Rogan. But we'll get into that in part 2. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe if you like, comment, agree, disagree. Tell me what you think. I hope they don't pull this video down because I'm using Rogan's thingy. Pause. I hope that's not the case. If so, I'll find a way to blur it out or something. I'll do something. I'll try. I'll just premiere it on Discord. I don't give a shit. I'll figure it out. Don't forget to share, support, hopefully donate to all the links, all of them in the description box. Do it. Do it now. And with all that said, be ready for part 2 and give this video a thumbs down.
Say you wanna get in, and then you wanna get out. When you get the money to buy yourself a car.